Hi, my name is Faith, and welcome to Field and Foley. Our guest today is Grace Stensland. Grace is a sound designer, sound editor, and field recordist. She has won an Emmy for her work on Orion in the Dark and been nominated for an Emmy with Jurassic World Chaos Theory. Grace has also worked on projects like Teen Titans Go, Bad Guys Breaking In, The Sisters Grimm, and more. Grace brings fantastical things to life through sound and has a special expertise and talent with science fiction and animation. Hi, Grace, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Faith. It's nice to see you again.
Absolutely. I am so excited to chat with you today. You've worked on so many cool things.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
Yeah. Just to start out, I'd love to ask you how you first got into like sound design and audio post-production.
So I got into sound design when I was in college. I studied film and media production, and most of the coursework that I ended up taking was in audio engineering. And so by the time I graduated college, most of the coursework that I did, it was all like audio classes. It was sound design, it was music recording. I grew up with a musical background. And so the technical aspects really got me into editing and into sound design as a whole. When I was about to graduate college, I reached out to one of my professors and I was like, hey, do you know anyone who works in sound design? And he's like, actually, I think I have the perfect person for you. And so he connected me with my now boss, Rob McIntyre, who is a brilliant supervising sound editor and is the owner of Sound Rebels, which is the company that I work for.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've been working in this field now for 3 years.
Very cool. Awesome. And I'd love to hear a little bit about the different roles that you carry and like kind of what's involved with them. I see lots of roles of like sound effects editors, but then a lot of like sound designer roles as well. And for like anyone listening who might not know the difference, what are like the differences between those two roles, and like how does your day-to-day on those projects kind of differ?
Yeah, so when I'm in a sound designer role, the way my studio splits it up is that you'll get an episode, and usually there are 2 sound designers on an episode. And so one will handle like the A plot, one will handle the B plot, or sometimes we just split it down the middle. And so we're responsible for the overall like tone of the episode and pretty much all of the elements. We'll have the Foley that is edited, that is delivered to us, and we'll integrate it with our design. As a sound effects editor, I was doing Jurassic World Chaos Theory, and that project involved more of editing hard effects, editing real life things. I would cut all of the backgrounds. I would edit all of the Foley. I would handle any of like the sound effects notes that came from our supervisor. Pretty much I contributed to quite a bit, but I pretty much didn't do any dinosaurs. And so I mean, there's a level of like coolness factor where you have to have enough experience to be able to edit a dinosaur, I think. Especially on a major project like that. But yeah, I got to contribute in, more hard effects versus designing otherworldly elements or, the cool stuff. But yeah, so as over the last couple of years, I started as a sound editor and a Foley editor, then became a sound effects editor, and now I'm doing design work and sound effects editing hand in hand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Jurassic World Chaos Theory, you talked a little bit about like what you did and what you worked on in it. Tell me about the episode that's nominated for the Emmy coming up here. It's called Fire in the Piazza?
Yes. So that episode is from season 3, and the really cool thing about season 3 is that it follows a similar plot of Jurassic Dominion in terms of timeline. And so we did a lot of recreating of the underground Malta scene. That's one thing that I worked a lot on, is like there's this underground dino ring of like black market, essentially, where they're like, herding or selling dinosaurs. And in the film, like, the locusts go crazy and everything is like, it's madness. And so the episode that we worked on is when our character first walks into this market, and we wanted to make it as daunting, and I mean, this is the first time that she's discovering that they're hurting the dinosaurs, that they're doing awful things to them. And so, we played a lot with the immersion as she's walking through the space, where like, you see the light coming from the left side of the screen far off in the distance. We had like the light from the shock rods where they're like, hurting the dinos. And so like we played with, okay, it's over there, and then like you flip the camera and then it's, they're on the other side of the screen now, and they're further away, or they're closer, and you're hearing like off in the distance, the off-screen like shrieks of these dinosaurs. They have a ring where they're fighting dinosaurs, and so you're constantly hearing like the walla of them going, ah! Like cheering, or like just being like, oh, mine lost kind of thing. And so like we had all of those like ebbs and flows throughout. Meanwhile, you're hearing like, chain link fences rattling where like, they're butting up heads against each other. And I mean, I think at one point they were like cooking dinosaurs, which is awful. Like you see the little like fire ring rotating. And so, yeah, that whole scene, like it was just a huge privilege to be able to just make it really textured, and also have to match what the feature team had done for Dominion. And so, yeah, that episode, from start to finish, I mean, the beginning of that episode just opens with this little teeny tiny baby dinosaur. It's like POV of the little teeny tiny guy. Like, he's full screen. And you have, like, these massive people, because he's lost in the city. And he's, like, he's so tiny. And we had to do the POV, like, perspective of, like, okay, someone takes a foot, like, steps their footstep and is boom. Or, the Vespa, like, bikes, it, like, zooms by. And so that had to feel huge. And so you're, like, crescendoing the ambience of the city as he gets more and more afraid. And, yeah, that episode I'm incredibly proud of. I mean, Jeff Halbert and Adam Chiaffi, they did incredible work with the Pyroraptor and the other raptors, the Atrociraptors. And so, yeah, we're really, really proud of our work on that episode. And I'm really happy that it was nominated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you should be proud of it, because, I mean, it turns out it was, like top tier work enough to be nominated for the Emmy. So, yeah, that...
Oh, and there's also there's a scene where the character Brooklyn, she has limb difference, and so in this scene she's working out the kinks of using her robotic prosthetic, and the scene is showing that she has this water bottle, and surprisingly the water bottle was incredibly difficult to get correct with. It was like one of those like thicker like Aquafina type water bottles, which like at a glance like doesn't really make much sound. And so what happens is that she like grabs the water, and she's struggling to like have the proper control, and she grabs it and it crunches, and then it spurts the water everywhere, and eventually just like flicks it off the table. But the texture of that, and the storytelling moment of going from like this little teeny tiny cap, she's trying to be so careful with this bottle cap, to then like all the water falling down on the table, and then and she swipes it. Meanwhile, the other character in the scene, she just like casually takes a drink. She like picks it up, opens it, and she's like, show off. And it's like the story, this show in particular, I love for its storytelling ability. And that whole scene is silent. I mean, not silent, but like it's just, there's no music. Like it's just the sounds, and it's just the very delicate texture of the water. And I mean, I can go on and on. Literally every little sound makes me so happy, like in life in general. But yeah, that whole scene was just amazing to just record and get it exactly right.
Facts. It's so nice when like scenes and shows and stuff are able to like rely on like sound and visuals for storytelling instead of dialogue and music.
Just music,
and then, like,
swelling.
Yeah. Which like music is great too, but
yes, music definitely carries emotional weight. There's no question about that. But yeah, giving the audience a chance to breathe and just sit with the character is something that it's so beautiful to just be in a space and have that ambience and have the Foley. I mean, the Foley on that show is just amazing.
Yeah, and fun to work on just like as sound people. Then, you know, like we get our chance to shine, and then you just have so much creative room to work. On top of it being animation. Animation is already like such a creative medium in and of itself as well.
Yeah, we had the same kind of experience on Orion in the Dark, where it was just, there was so much creativity. I mean, we were creating, I don't know how much the listeners know about this movie or have seen it, but there are so many out of the box, out of the world like things.
Yeah, Orion in the Dark is definitely like something new. When I watched it, I was like, this is not like most other things that I've watched, but is super cool. And the sound also definitely had a chance to shine. If anybody listening hasn't watched it, or Jurassic World Chaos Area, you should go and watch it after this. Speaking of Orion in the Dark, tell me what your role was on that project first.
So on that project, I was a very new editor. I had just started probably 2 or 3 months before we started working on the feature. And that was also my first feature. Like I said, I was still new to the industry. And so I helped I cut Foley on a couple of the reels. I helped out with a lot of sound effects notes. Being one of the editors in-house, very much a blessing, where if something came up, Rob would pull me in and be like, hey, Grace, can you cut this? Like, hey, can you try your hand at this? Like, there's this sound effect for the character Unexplained Noises, who, if you haven't watched the movie, it's like this little, like, almost like cassette tape box thing. And so this night entity character, and there's a moment where she goes, I think this calls for a crunching sound with the tiniest bit of scraping. And then she opens her mouth and this insane sound has to come out. And so we were trying a couple of different, ideas, a couple different like textures, because it's like, I mean, what crunches and scrapes at the same time? And so, what I ended up using for that, and you can hear it in the film, is I recorded my bicycle. I had a really crappy old bicycle that I got rid of right before I moved to LA. And I flipped it upside down in the recording studio on campus, and I just took it apart as much as I could and like recorded stuff. And that was the sound of like the bike seat was the scraping sound.
Oh.
And also, I collected a lot of packing materials ahead of time before my move. And so I had a lot of like, I don't know what the word is, but it was like very like crunchy like paper. And so that's in there in the crunching sound. I did a bunch of work for the character Unexplained Noises as well. I've talked about this a bunch of times to a bunch of different people and places, but one of the things that I absolutely love that we did on that project is the client wanted the Unexplained Noises entity to, the joints of the character design they look like bendy straws. Like the elbows and knees look like bendy straws. And so a couple of years prior, had picked up these like pop tubes that are for kids. They're like little kiddie like sound, like fidget toys that people buy for like kids' birthday parties. And when you pull on them, they go and so like it essentially is like a very large, thick, bendy straw. And so we ended up using those. And so I literally was in my office just like performing them to the picture for, the couple of scenes that she was in. And I think it's that level of like unique character that, that very different, the really creative things, that's a texture that like, I mean, you haven't heard that before. I don't think I'd ever heard the pop tubes being used before when I started recording them. And now I have like 12 different sizes of pop tubes, like I have like the air vent or whatever that I posted on my social media. Yeah, every time I find a drain tube, like anything like that, like ridge tube, plastic tube, I get it because I'm like, I just love the sound.
Tubes are so good. So
they are.
What was that? What if people don't know online, for the record, Grace makes like kind of like every once in a while on her social media sound of the day videos with sometimes some of the most interesting, like I'm like, where did you get these props? Like where did you find this? Like some of it's like, you've got like a lamp that makes like super squeaky noises, and I'm like, I bet she just like took that off of her wall or something like that. But there was that one that like that vent, that big, I think you were blowing into it. Where did you get that?
Okay, yeah, so so down the street from my house, there's what I would consider a perpetual garage sale, where I think they like send people out to just buy things for them, and or maybe they get them from estate sales or whatever, or, people moving. And so they leave stuff outside like all the time. And so honestly, it's a little bit gross sometimes, but like going down there, like, there's stuff that's like old and like squeaky and rusty and just dirty, so it has that grit type sound to it. And so yeah, that air vent in particular I had found down the street from me. And what I thought was cool with the video that I posted, it almost it's like a buzzing sound. And so me and my boss, we were we were staying late at work and we were messing around with some sound stuff. And we had the air vent, and I gaff taped a deer collar to it. And what I ended up doing, because the deer collar that I have, you can change the length of it, and you can change like the reed, like pitch of it too. And so I ended up putting it like the lowest pitch setting. And then I like took the deer collar wood piece, and I essentially put the reed where it's like hitting the wood, and over blew into the thing, so it wasn't making that sound. It was making like sound, like really up the octave. So it was really weird like sound. And so we literally sat there for like 30 minutes messing around with just the placement of it, and we just kept recording stuff, and finally we found the sweet spot for like essentially like organic but kind of still synthetic sound for bees, like for a swarm of bees. And actually the other thing I was doing is, so I played flute, and one thing you can do is you can call something called flutter tonguing, which is while you're blowing. And yeah, so it's just you're getting that like momentum and that flight, but it's also like that tonal like bee swarm pitch. And so yeah, we're planning on using that soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm excited to see what that ends up in. I'll have to keep my ears open now.
Yeah.
Or you'll have to
I'll have to let you know.
Yeah,
I'll be like, hey, Faith, remember?
That's where it is. That's where
Yep.
That's where it ended up.
Yeah. I love like getting a chance to record things and then just like sending it to, people that I know that I'm like, hey, you helped me record this. Or so I have like, I don't know how old they are. I think they're like 10 and 13 or something like that, maybe 11. It's been a couple years since I recorded them. But when I visited for Thanksgiving a couple years ago, I was just like, hey, can you guys just scream? Can you guys just like scream for me? And I'm like, they're kids. They think I'm really cool. Like I work on like animated shows that they and their friends watch. And so I had them scream, and I've gotten them now into Teen Titans Go, into Jurassic World Chaos Theory, and also into a show that must not be named just yet. I just was like, wait, which show is it? Yeah. So, but yeah, and then I'm like, hey, remember when you recorded this? Now it's there. You can go watch it. One of my college friends is actually in Orion coughing. Because we were working on a film set, and I was going through like really old like SD cards and stuff, and I found that, and I was like, ooh, this is really clean. And I texted him, I was like, hey, can I use this as a sound effect? And so I hit him up like 6 months later. I was like, hey, so if you go to this time code in Orion, you can hear yourself coughing really, really low in the mix, but it's there, I promise. So yeah, I love being able, I recorded my parents a lot when I was in college for various projects, and yeah, I love getting people involved in, like, they think I'm really cool, and I think this job's cool, so yeah, it's super fun.
Oh, that's so fun. And then just to get to be the person being like, I'm in that because my friend worked on it. They're going to use that for clout for the rest of their lives.
As they should. As they should.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
100%.
If people want to, like my parents, like if they want to brag about me being an Emmy winner, I'm telling you, my grandmother's so funny. She talks to her friends about me. Like, she brags all the time. And now her friends are like, oh my god, we know someone who knows someone who has an Emmy. Like, and it's so funny. They're so sweet. Like, it's I mean, working on really cool projects, it's like I have a fan club. Like, it's so much fun. It's so silly. And I just love this job. Like, it is just so crazy and so full of play. One thing I find really interesting, so like my mom, she teaches preschool, because she has always instilled in me, that curiosity of, that play, that maintaining that, like, child, like, sense of humor and, like, spirit and things like that. I feel like it really fits well in animation. I mean, obviously, we're working on kids' projects and stuff, but it really is just, keeping that mindset, keeping that, like, eyes of a child and ears of a child. I worked on the Sisters Grimm. I grew up reading those books. Like, that's something that's really cool about being where I am right now, with how, like, with my age being what it is, like, being on the younger side, is that, like, I grew up with this stuff. Like, the things that, the media that I consumed are now being created into shows, and into projects. And so, yeah, the Sisters Grimm in particular, I personally had this, like, endeavor that I wanted to do. And my approach to this is, like, I want to imagine I am Daphne. Daphne is the youngest sister. She's probably, I can't remember, 5 or 6, maybe. And I mean, I was like 8 when I read these books. And so I can remember how I heard the book in my head. And it's very much like storybook, where every sound has character, every sound has, like, a moment to shine, where it's like even the flip of a page of a book, and, like, you hear the spine of it creak. Or, like, you're, pulling a book off its shelf and it goes, like, kind of thing. The books in that are really, really cool, and have a lot of character to them. But yeah, that approach to that project was entirely, I want to recreate this how I wanted it to sound as a kid. And I can't believe I got to do that. Like, that is just the coolest thing ever. The best. And, I have a similar story on when I worked on the Dora the Explorer theatrical short. It's Dora and the Fantastical Creatures. It played before the Paw Patrol movie a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
I'd never done anything in theaters before. And, of course, I went to go see it. Also, Paw Patrol was amazing. Hell yeah. But I went to go see it. I sat dead center in the theater, and it was opening weekend. And I'm sitting there, and it's coming on, and you hit the moment in the theatrical short. This is not a spoiler, guys. Where like, they go, swipe or no swiping. And I hear the kids scream it. I grew up watching Dora. I had a Dora the Explorer, like, mega plushie, like, thing in my room. Like, I was obsessed with Dora the Explorer. I cannot believe I got to work on something on that that franchise. And yeah, so, like, they're screaming it, and I'm sobbing now. Like, I'm just like, oh my god, I cannot believe, like, I was them. I was the 3 and 4-year-old watching the original series. And now I'm contributing to that legacy for them and that experience. And yeah, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky I get to do this job. I love it so much.
It's the best job in the entire world. No contest.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the funniest coincidence too. The Scott, the last Field and Foley episode I just recorded, he worked on the Paw Patrol movie. That's the weirdest coincidence I've ever.
No way.
Back
Yay, Scott! Thank you, Scott. You did so good.
That's the funniest coincidence ever. You said the Paw Patrol movie. I was like, oh my god.
It's a small industry, man. It surprisingly is
really
for the amount of. I mean, I'm constantly meeting new people. It's really massive across the country, but like, yeah, like sometimes we'll be like, or I'll be at just a bar or something, and I'll be like, hey, yeah, I'm like networking with somebody, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this show I'm watching, and they're like, hey, I worked on that, or hey, my friend did that, and I'm like, oh my god, what is living in this city where you can just casually say something and someone's like, oh my god, yeah, me too, or it's so cool.
Yeah, there's not a lot of industries like that where it like everybody's so spread out, but it's so small. It's absolutely it's really funny. And then when you find people within the same country, it gets even smaller. It's like you already kind of talked about this a little bit, but are there any other notable moments where you used like stuff that you recorded kind of ended up in the projects? Like, you mentioned like screaming a whole bunch.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's my thing is I just love doing any kind of custom records, custom design. I put myself in like every project I possibly can. There's a moment in Jurassic World Chaos Theory where they bust out onto the street of Malta. They'd been chased by a dinosaur, and then they find out that dinosaurs are running rampant through the city. And at the very exact moment, I was like, I want that curdling, bloody murder scream. And I was like, I got this. And so I sat in my office and I was like, ah! Sorry, I'm not going to scream. I don't want to distort my mic.
Yeah.
But, and I like did that scream and it stayed in. I was so excited about it. But yeah, I do a lot of screaming, believe it or not. One of the projects our studio did was Blood of Zeus. And on that project, they needed like essentially like guttural death screams of like this woman being absolutely ripped apart, like just horrifying, like just terrifying like screams. And I was recording it in my office to like send to my supervisor as an ad, and he's on Slack and he's like, more guttural, like more of this, like less screechy. And he's like, yes, I'm directing from two offices away. And I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, screaming's really fun. I took a voice for the actor class when I was in college.
Nice.
That I think helped a lot, like with just being able to control your voice. And being on mic is really important for this career too, I've found. Being just comfortable in front of a microphone, whether it's you're the one performing it or performing prop. God, I love animation. Have you ever been to Lightbox? Do you know what Lightbox is?
No.
There's an animation convention in LA called the Lightbox Expo, and it's catered for people who are in, storyboard artists and concept artists and game developers. And, they have like this absolutely like massive, gathering of artists. It's like a national like convention thing. It is so much fun. I went my first 2 years in LA. My buddy from high school is an artist, and he came out to visit and go to the conference. And like that alone like made me learn a ton about animation and just like how it's constructed and understanding like the pipeline process. And there was one really amazing talk that I thought was epic, and they were doing a talk on Avatar: The Way of Water. And the concept artists were showing their work and they were speaking about it. And they're like, yeah, like I created this creature. Like I understand how it breathes, how it eats, how like what its vocal cords might look like or sound like, and how that informs the sound. And that changed the way that I perceive creature design too. Because then I'm thinking, like, okay, what did the animator intend? I think in features, you definitely have more of an opportunity to dive into that. And speak with the animation team or go back and forth because you're working so much further ahead in TV. Unfortunately, we have the comp picture already, so it's like it's mostly done. And But yeah, I think that's cool. Like, understanding animation and how it is constructed is such a really, like, niche topic that I like to explore.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to go to that gathering. I can't even imagine a place that I would rather be. I'm gonna have to show you after, but animation is my most favorite thing ever. My wall here is covered with posters of all of the big animation things that I love.
Oh
I'm gonna
my
have
gosh.
to I if I show you now, I think all my stuff is gonna get unplugged, so I'll have to show you after.
I'm telling you right now, they have the most insane artist alley ever. It takes up the entire Pasadena Convention Center. It takes you a good, like, a day to, like, get through. I mean, maybe not that long, but, like, if you're gonna look at everything, like, a day to get through. I have quite a few stickers from there. I have some, like, wall art. And what's really cool is they also have, like, fan art stuff too. And so there'd been an artist, I'm forgetting the name of him, I wish I could shout him out because I really like his work, but did a wall art piece, like a print from of the characters from the Bad Guys. Oh. And I was like, now I'm just, like, obsessed with collecting, like, merch and, like, art from the shows that I work on.
Yeah.
And whenever I see, like, fan art, I just get so excited. But yeah, getting, like, art and stuff like that from the people who, you know, either created it or are huge fans of the franchise or the IP, like, it's just,
that's awesome.
I love it.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Going back to field recording a little bit, you, like, a lot of these sounds that you're recording, they're already, like, they kind of come out the gate, like, you could put them in completely unprocessed and it'll sound, like, absolutely amazing. You have, like, a lot of, like, really organic recordings that you have. What do you kind of use when you want to do some of, like, that processing? Do you, like, you know, what kind of, do you have some favorite plugins that you use, kind of fiddle around with some of your recordings when you're doing BGs or when you're affecting Voila, or if you're doing kind of creature stuff? What is your kind of in the box process with that?
Yeah, so our company uses the sound library search engine, SoundMiner.
Okay.
And they have with the upper tiers of it, they have Radium, which is, like, sampling and being able to program things on keyboard and just manipulate with the effects rack. The effects rack is insane, like, truly, and the pitching tools that they use, I don't know what their algorithm is doing, but it does not break. It does not break. It's actually so crazy. And because you can, like, you know, click record and record all of your effects, like, as it's playing, and then you can go through and, like, use, like, the keyboard to, like, sample things or layer stuff. I mean, that's how we do a lot of our big creature footsteps. And yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with Radium. I use it a lot. It's so versatile, and I personally believe that because it's so streamlined, it's perfect for TV. Because TV, I mean, we gotta cut so fast, and design so fast, and, you know, we'll pause and we'll be like, okay, I really want to put my effort into this major design moment. But yeah, I think, you know, we're focusing our energy, and it's perfect for TV. It's perfect for TV. With the pace that we need to work with, versus, like, oh my god, I need to go to the audio suite and, like, click open another plugin and then, like, use this other plugin and scroll through these presets, and, like, with the effects rack being right there, it's so easy to just, like, okay, I want saturation, I want to bass enhance this, I want to, you know, maybe excite the high end and EQ some of the mid range, and then, you know, I'm gonna throw a phalange on it, and, like, you know, you because you can mix and match and very easily, like, solo and or turn on and off different effects to get the right variety. But yeah, I love Radium. I am not sponsored. Just so you know, I am not sponsored by SoundMiner or Radium. I'm willing if they want it, but yeah, that's my go-to. And as for, like, mics and stuff for recording, I just got a field recording kit, like a proper one. I love my Zoom. I love my Zoom H8. I've had it since I was probably a sophomore in college. So that's, like, I don't know, like 6 6 years. Wow, it has not been that long. I feel like I've grown. I feel like I've grown so much. But yeah, love my Zoom H8. But I just got a kit that has a stereo set of Sennheiser 8040s, as well as the Shep's CMIT Mini MS kit as well, and the Geophone. The Geophone is insane. I had never heard anything like this before in terms of like microphones. Very impressed with it so far. I have been like suction cupping or like magneting? What is the word? I'm not good with words. I'm good with sounds.
I don't know what the word would be either, to be honest.
I've been like attaching it to a metal object with a magnet.
There you
go. And yeah, it just sounds insane. Like I put it on my dishwasher. I felt like I was inside of the thing. Like I felt like I was inside my dishwasher. It was insane. But yeah, so I've been having a lot of fun with playing with my new mics, my new toys.
Having new toys to play around with is the best. I've been looking for a new contact mic for a while, so maybe I'll look into that. Also not sponsored, but maybe I'll maybe I'll look into that. The only contact mic I have is one that like a Guitar Center employee gave me once because they felt bad that they didn't sell any contact mics, and she was like, I don't know where this came from. We don't sell it, but it's been sitting in the bag for years. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah. Yes.
That's very kind.
It was very kind. Shout out to that one Guitar Center employee.
Yep.
So as like a sound effects editor and a sound designer, you mostly work on that side of the stage and not so much on the mix stage. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but making things easier for the people on the mix stage, there's a lot with like, you know, each studio has their own like kind of specific layout that they do. What are some ways that you kind of like set up your exports and set up your session and stuff to like make the mix go smoothly as well? Like even on in terms of like focusing on frequencies being balanced in your sound design so that they're like more balanced in the mix as well.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously we have like our standard templates and stuff like that the supervisor sets up for us. But yeah, in terms of things that, you know, make it easier for the next person, I tend to organize things with the higher frequencies on the top of a stack of sounds, and then the lower frequency sound, like pretty much in order of frequency, kind of like the high end stuff and then like the lower end stuff on the bottom. Just so that, like, in the mix, you know, there might be, like, 5 sounds layered together, but, you know, our mixer, DJ, he doesn't have time for that if he's on the stage or if a client's sitting right behind him. If they're like, hey, we want, like, that, you know, high-pitched sound to be muted or taken down, he knows exactly, like, very quickly, like, where to go. And on that same kind of thing, I find color coding to be something that I love. I know that, you know, not every person color codes like very specifically or by object. Some people might make all of the Foley one color. So I tend to color code things by object and in association with what it is on screen. Everyone has their different ways that they, you know, for me, blue is metal, you know, yellow is paper, like, you know, it changes, but everyone has their colors. Hand pats, I make that really ugly pink color in Pro Tools. Because I was like, I'm never going to use it for anything else. Yeah, abiding by, you know, standard labeling conventions is super important. My advice to any, like, young sound designer or someone in college, learn your labeling conventions. Please do not final this, final that. This is really the final. You know, use your date things, like, save extra sessions so you can be able to go back to them, like, all that kind of stuff. I'm really passionate about career education. That is something that I found that love for it when I was in college. I worked for the Career Center. Shout out to the Green Center at University of Rochester. And yeah, so I do a lot of, like, you know, talking to students and, like, trying to show them, like, things in this field. That's part of the reason I started doing my silly sound videos on Instagram is because I have students that will connect with me and they're like, what do you do? Like, what do you do every day? Or even my family, they're like, what are you doing? Like, and so I started posting because of that, and also it's a journal for myself. But yeah, like, you know, I really like doing guest lectures and things like that. And talking to students. I'm really proud of this. I just finished reading through all of the applications for the sound internship for the TV Academy. There were 55 applicants, and there were a lot of things to read, and I read through all of them, and I'm so proud of the students. They continue to inspire me.
Nice.
But yeah, so color code things, make things easier for the next person, make sure that your sessions are saved out properly so that things link. Oh, and then the other thing that I do too with color coding is like any sound that I think might like poke out of the mix or maybe distract from something else. So for example, like if there's, I have the actual sound of the open and close of the door, but like the creak of the door, I'll usually color that like a different color than the rest of the stack. So that they're like, because usually it's an upper pitch sound, like they might be like, hey, can we bring that down? So it's really easy to find like which sound it is. Or for example, on shows that are based with like, very cartoon or anime style sounds, those are usually the one that are like, those catch the client's ear. And so having those labeled differently from the sounds that it might be in a build with, I find is particularly helpful. So I did not come up with that. That was a suggestion from our supervisor.
Nice.
That he that was not me. I can't take credit for that. But that is something that we do and that I recommend because I think it's particularly helpful. Even in my own workflow of like, oh, I'm going back to this sound. I'm like, oh, like, what's catching my ear on my watch down? Like, let me just fix or mute this or pull it down.
Nice. Going back to, you said when we were talking about kind of understanding the structure and flow of animation, how do you kind of go about when the animation is not quite finished and it's still kind of just like sketches and it's still kind of, outlines and stuff? How do you go about like kind of committing to sound, but also kind of predicting where the animation is going? Because I'm sure that having that knowledge of how animation is made impacts your prediction of where it's going to end up.
Yeah, so I would say for the most part, we're working with comp picture, which is mostly timing locked or like mostly picture lock, where like they might make a couple of, small conforms.
Okay.
That said, I have seen a number of shows where they just, I'm not going to say the word because it swears, but like they just really mess it up. They really, like to every frame, every shot has some frames that are added or whatever. And so in a sense, most of the stuff doesn't change all that much. The timing might change, or the rhythm of something might change, which is good to keep in mind of like, oh, maybe there's like, you start with like 2 or 3 hits that you design, but it's like, oh, I actually need to be able to have 5 options in case the rhythm changes, or like, sometimes we'll have to like resync the footsteps if they change a walk cycle, which I think is so fascinating in animation because walk cycles are like very consistent. And so you can kind of predict of like, oh, like, if they're running, it's like 5 or 6 frames, or if they're walking, it's like 8 or 10 frames. And so like knowing like that kind of like convention stuff makes editing for animation easier. Yeah, I would say most of the time we're working to finished picture, or mostly finished picture. They still have to do like the final like line work and lighting and stuff like that. But yeah, usually throughout the process we'll get a couple of different cuts of picture. But for the most part, it's like they're just touching up or fixing like 1 or 2 shots.
Nice. One of the questions that popped into my mind is what it's like drawing from legacy sounds. Like, for example, you worked on Teen Titans Go. And so when you're working on something that's kind of been long-standing for a long time, at least to me, it feels like Teen Titans Go has been going on forever. I remember it when I was a kid. So what's that like to kind of have to keep it continuous, but also, have creativity, come up with new things? What's that kind of balance like?
Yeah, so I took a lot of, advice and inspiration from Mark Schmidt, who's the current supervising sound editor on the project. And I mean, he's been working on it for many seasons now. And so usually when an element would come up, be like, I don't know if we've done this before, like there's this new power, or have we seen this character that's like, in the DCU, or, even just like, hey, what does the tower door sound like? Fortunately, like he's incredible with his library curation. Like Mark is easily one of like the people who I'm like, how do you cut things so fast? And it's because he has things that he has bounced out, he's saved, he's renamed, he has it like super curated that fits really well for him. And so usually I'll be like, hey, have we done this before? And he'll be like, I got you. And he'll like send me a sound. So it does, it's very like a lot of sound effects editorial, a lot of like, oh, we've used this before in other episodes. But what's really interesting about that show in a non-legacy type way is it's very chaotic, and that we also don't get Foley. And so we have to like kind of come up with like custom sounds for very unique things. For example, I have beef with coconuts because it took me a very long time to get it proper. Because like obviously everyone knows like the coconut bonk sound effect and that very nice like wood block type sound. But the actual sound of coconuts is not correct. I have beef with it. Like rocks. Rocks I also will rant about. But coconuts, we had gone to the store or we ordered a couple of different types of coconuts, like the half shells that are dried and like fresh coconuts or whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like trying my best to record it because we don't have enough coconut sounds. I mean, like how many people are out there recording coconuts all the time? And so I'm like, I'm hitting things together and I'm like, it's not working. Because the thing is, it's like I needed a lot of them too. It wasn't just like, coconut bonks against each other. It was like they were in a pool playing billiards with coconuts as the balls, and they were like knocking around on the pool thing, and then you go clunk, 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 and then like go into like the holes of like the pool like water receptacle thing.
Oh my gosh.
And so yeah, what I ended up doing is like I had a full fresh coconut and I had a half shell coconut, and the half shell coconut I put on my stomach, and then I took I braced it with, like, the whole of it on my stomach, so you just had, like, the hollow, and then I had the whole fresh coconut, and I, like, bonked the coconut on the other coconut, and then there's a whole scene where I worked really, really hard on it, and then they took it out in the mix. Some of it is still in there. You can hear it in the intro to the episode, but, like, there's a whole scene that, like, got muted, and I was like, no! But yes. Coconut sounds, that was fun. And then also, I mean, there've been, so I collect sound things, as one does. I feel like we all kind of do it. And so I have a lot of kitty toys. They sound really cool. If you don't collect kids' toys, like, definitely do that. I have, like, little tiny, like, xylophones, things that squeak, dog toys, all kinds of things that, like, chime and bonk and whistle and whatever. And so pretty much they have like this, there's a thing where like Cyborg is a helicopter and super random. He drops a bag of like kids' toys on the ground. I'm like, what? So I had, literally just objects in my office that I just, I took out of my like bag or I brought them in from home. And it's like, yeah, it's like kitty xylophone and like, squeak toys and things. And I literally just threw them on the floor. I was just like, I would literally like drop them over and over again being like, okay. And then finally I got to a place where I dropped it and like it kind of like glissed, like the xylophone kind of glissed a little bit, and then I added the squeak in there. And so it's like that show, there's so many like very instantaneous things where it's like, oh, he's handling paper, oh, he's getting hit by a watermelon, oh, he's like, jumping up and down on the couch, and like you need the spring sound. Dude, Cyborg was inside of a tuba at one point and like squeaks, his head squeaks out the little teeny tiny mouthpiece. I love that sound, by the way. The sound that I cut for that, I was really proud of. But yeah, that show it's super, super fun to work on. I'm not actively working on it anymore. I did for about a year. Yeah, that show is amazing to just, record things fresh for, and because honestly, it's so much faster, except for coconuts. Coconuts are not faster, but it's so much faster to to record things custom than it is to find it in a library of, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of sound effects.
Yeah, it's just faster. Like, even with the screaming bit, it's so hard sometimes to find good walla. That's just like, sometimes you just gotta do it yourself.
Well, yeah, for real. Walla in particular is incredibly difficult for us because all of it needs to be non-English. which is the case for many projects, but I know that some like feature films, they do allow like English, walla, and like lines and stuff like that. But yeah, all of our stuff needs to be non-English. So like, I mean, I went and I recorded at one point at my high school about a year ago or so, year and some change, which was super rewarding to be able to go back and actually, I talked to a bunch of the students about like sound and stuff when I was there. But yeah, and like they're all like screaming and hollering and like, you know, chit-chatting and stuff like that. And I can hear everything, of course. And I'm listening to the recordings and I'm like, I gotta edit all of this so that none of it sounds like words. And it was a lot of editing. But yeah, walla, non-English walla. If someone wants to create me a library of non-English walla, like it's particularly kids, because kids are really hard to get, or small groups, like 10 people or less groups of non-English walla is so tough. But yeah, so we got to get on mic all the time. I'm not great with coming up with fake words, and so I use a program called Gibberish Generator. I think that's what it's called. But I pretty much just like type random words into it, and then it just like flips all the consonants and vowels around. And so it's like, then I just like kind of, you know, read it ish, like kind of a thing. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Before we ask our final famous Field and Foley question, do you have any upcoming projects or things that you've worked on in the past, or anything, you know, like your just social medias, anything that you would like to shout out for anybody? Or even advice? You were talking about like education for students that are entering in, so like advice to people who are starting out in this industry.
Yeah, so I have a couple of different projects that I've been working on for a while. Unfortunately, they haven't dropped the release date for them yet, or we haven't gotten clearance to talk about them yet. So I, unfortunately, sadly, cannot drop the titles. But I will be announcing it on my Instagram as soon as I can. I use Instagram all the time. Like, I'm a big social media user. So yeah, if anyone wants to, feel free to connect with me. I'm always happy to chat, especially like younger students. Just send me like questions and DMs. I will, even if I'm like having a crazy week or a day or whatever, I'll send you a voice memo on Instagram DMs of answering your question. Yeah, I would say for advice to students, don't be afraid to reach out to people, and don't be afraid to show what you're passionate about. I think, you know, so many of us got into this field because we have the same love of audio, because we have that same like drive and passion. And some of us, you know, we might be busy working on projects, whatever, but like it is a gift to be able to share this career and share this joy that we feel. And it reinvigorates us when we have students reach out to us who are just obsessed with the same things that we are. And you know, I would encourage you to, you know, ask questions, to be willing to learn, be helpful, be humble, don't have an ego, and just show us that you love it. The reason that I got offered my position at Sound Rebels is because, and Rob will tell the story, is that there was at one point where I was editing, I was an intern, I was editing Foley. And I was taking a little bit longer than I probably should have because I was still really new. I think it was like my first week or like maybe my second week or something. And I was like, you know, going to stay a little bit later at work. And he goes, "Aren't you going to leave?" And I was like, "You don't understand. If I left, I would be doing the exact same thing. Like I would be still doing sound things. I would be creating new libraries. I would be recording. I would be, you know, hitting up the next, you know, student animator to work on a short film." And that level of drive, that, oh, we do it because we love it, energy is just, it's so infectious. Like, it really is. And I love seeing that in other people. And I love being able to just, you know, give advice and, like, you know, I bring people with me. Bring, you know, I really love, like, inspiring the next generation. And yeah, working for the Career Center, like, really just fostered that in me. And, like, I'm a big fan of, like, oh, you have these skills, let's find what transfers to this field. Or, you know, the guest lecture I just did for Mansfield College, like, my biggest thing is, like, hey, you guys are all music kids. Most of us in sound are music. Or have some kind of an affiliation with a musical background. And so the talk I focused on, like, oh, let me show you how the music background, the skills that you have, the skills that are associated, things that you already do or things that you love, the software that you use, can be applied in this really fun and like energizing and playful way. And how maybe, just maybe, like they get curious and then they want to learn more. Or maybe then they don't stay in sound design or decide to do sound design, but maybe they cut some sound effects for funsies in one of their music tracks. Or they can use a plugin in a new way. Yeah. So I just think, yeah, career ed's really cool. I got on a little bit of a tangent there.
No, you're good.
But yeah.
That's awesome. That's the best advice. And like there really are no egos. Like this, like we were talking before about how this industry is so small and it's so niche and it's so fun. Like this is the best job ever in the whole entire world. But also like everybody that I've ever talked to when I've wanted to have conversations like this, or even just, just chat and ask, when I was starting out, and even now, what do you do? How did you get here? Type of a thing. I have never encountered thus far big egos about it at all. Like everybody is just so kind and so willing to like share their knowledge and share information and encourage everybody to be also having fun in this niche, in this work, which is like the best ever.
Okay, so maybe I do have an agenda, and my agenda is to make everyone else also think that this is the coolest job in the world. Like, obviously I want to talk about this thing that I love and that makes me happy and excited. Like, absolutely, I'll share this with you. Please ask me questions. Like, every little sound I love. Like, there's not, except for rocks. Rocks piss me off. Every sound that I make, I just love it. Like, I would rather do nothing else in this world than this job.
Facts. Well, speaking of going all the way to the origins of Grace's love for recording sounds, what was the first sound you ever recorded, and why did you record it?
So I unfortunately don't have a fantastic answer for this. I don't have like a, oh my God, I've been recording since I was 3 years old kind of story. The first thing that I could think of when you like was something I intentionally recorded was during my first sound design class. And there's a stool, like a metal stool in the music practice room at University of Rochester. And I had just gotten my H2N that we were borrowing for this sound design class. And so it was we had to like record like 3 sounds and like submit them for an assignment. And so I was like sitting on this stool and I was messing around with stuff. And all of a sudden I turned and it goes. And it was the craziest creak sound. Honestly, probably one of the coolest. Now, this is not well recorded. I was a freshman in high school, but it was definitely one of the coolest sounds that I've recorded. Because it just had such, like, I wish I had the stool. I wish I stole the stool. Like, yeah. So, yeah, it was, definitely one of the coolest things that I recorded. And one of the very first things I remember actively thinking in terms of sound design recording. And I did end up using it. I used it very briefly. Part of it. I didn't use the whole thing. I used the squeak. There's a moment in Bad Guys Breaking In where there's like this little like bird like thing that just like tips up and down. And it needed like this kind of thing. Like a little like almost not wooden but like kind of metal squeak. I'm pretty sure I used it in that.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it wasn't like, I was a kid, like, and I remember recording pots and pans on my kitchen floor or anything. Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely, man, I just love this. I just love this field. I get so excited.
Your energy is so contagious. It's so nice to find like-minded people where I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah. I love your Tiny Town Tuesdays, by the way.
Thank you.
I always love seeing those. I was like, oh, she's out in the cold again. Which I get. I honestly, like, I see, I respect it. Like, I've done the recording in the middle of winter. I get it. I fully support it. And I get you. I understand. And I feel for you. But it's worth it for the sounds.
It is. It is worth it for the sounds. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Grace, for being on Field and Foley.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Looking for more audio-related podcasts to listen to? We're part of the Audio Podcast Alliance, featuring a hand-picked selection of the very best podcasts about sound. Be sure to hear the latest episodes from our friends in the community at audiopodcast.org. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please consider supporting on patreon.com/fieldandfoley or ko-fi.com/fieldandfoley, where you gain early access to episodes in lossless format and can submit questions for our guests. Thank you for listening.